Until a few centuries ago, Earth was believed to be the center of the solar system. Until Kim Kardashian and Snooki took it upon themselves to prove it was one of them. No, that debate was settled way before then, when in 1543, Copernicus' theory gained traction and proved that it was actually the sun that was at the center. And I'm guessing that that must be the reason why it's now called the solar system, Snooki. Number 2. In the 17th century, religious scholars, who were also considered scientists at that time, estimated the Earth's age to be 6,000 years. But radioactive dating now suggests our planet's age to be, well, 4.5 billion years. The early scholars were off by a little bit. Number 3. My ancestors were a lucky bunch because their chemistry teachers weren't as nearly as mean as mine. But then, maybe their experiments never exploded in their teacher's face or emitted strange smells. Although test tubes are not the only things that stink in my class. On a more serious note, our ancestors' version of chemistry was alchemy, in which metals such as lead could be turned into gold, or so they thought. How naive. By the way, they also looked for elixir of life, which, of course, they never found. But we never found weapons of mass destruction in Iraq either, so we're even on that account. Weapons or no weapons, we have seen at least 3 examples of how enormously wrong we can be on an issue, sometimes even for centuries. This proves nothing but the simple point that humans are, after all, humans. Creatures who make mistakes, own up, move on, and then make the same mistakes again. Well, maybe that's just me. But since I make mistakes, and of course, make the same mistakes again and again, until my parents go insane and make me realize how stupid I am, at which point I start crying and commit the same mistake one more time, because this time I'm angry or under stress. I decided to research the topic, why we make mistakes. But rather than focusing on mistakes made due to carelessness or lack of knowledge, I decided to focus on mistakes we make in decision-making, despite our best intentions. Because these decisions not only hurt our own credibility, but also the people around us. So let's tackle this 4.5 billion-year-old problem by first exposing the chemistry behind it, and then exploring some solutions to get rid of the weapons of mass suspicion that some of these decisions become to people around us. We will examine 3 reasons. First, we trust our memory too much, which, according to scientists, we shouldn't. Our memory is highly vulnerable to errors and biases, especially under stress and anger. The most common error is allowing our present emotions to interpret our past experiences. Get a B- on your math test, and school seems to totally suck. Typical me. Win a race at your local swim meet, and all that yelling by your coach during practices suddenly seems like a pep talk for the trip to the Olympic Games in Rio. Again, typical me. In a 1999 study, 150 college students were shown videos of a shooting, and then a 5-man lineup. Every one of them identified a suspect, even though the culprit was not even pictured. You see how human memory is fragile and malleable? Number 2, we are partial to our own kind. According to a study done in 2002 by the University of Oxford, we are biased towards members of our own group. Sometimes these groups do not even exist. Social bonds and attractions can can readily form on the basis of minor characteristics. According to research cited on understandingprejudice.org, implicit egotism steers people towards seemingly irrational decisions. For example, people born on April 4th are more likely than others to choose to live in a city named Four Hills. And women are more likely to marry men who share the first letter of their last name. Really? Well, not according to my mom, who says it was a mere coincidence in her case. And third, we are biased towards information that agrees with us. According to psychologist Leon Festinger, we develop a psychological discomfort between the presence of two contradicting thoughts. We tend to gravitate towards the one we already believe in. To make things worse, the internet is creating private bubbles for each one of us. Algorithms are written to show us what we want to see, instead of what we need to see. As pointed out by political activist Eli Pariser in his TED Talk, two people Googling the same phrase are likely to get very different search results based on their past habits. My family tried Googling college on two separate computers. My Harvard-obsessed dad search was dominated with articles on college rankings, whereas my penny-pinching mom search page was filled with articles on debilitating college costs. Now, after looking at how our brain can end up on the wrong side, let's explore how we can correct these inherent flaws in our decision-making. In his book, Cluj, The Haphazard Construction of Human Mind, psychologist Gary Marcus of NYU describes the human mind as a clumsy and inelegant contraption. He suggests, first, employ counterfactual thinking, analyzing outcomes based on what-ifs rather than only facts provide us a broader perspective. Counterfactual thinking explains why Olympic bronze medalists are often more satisfied with the outcome than silver medalists. Second, reframe the question. Our previous experience with an issue has a large impact on how we view it, so reframing the question can help a great deal. Politicians and marketers use it quite effectively to sell their points of view. And third, anticipate your impulsivity. Plan ahead to eliminate bad decisions made due to emotional pull in favor of or against a certain issue or person, which, for me, just means plan a route that would keep me away from Cold Stone Creamery. Also, we start each day with a certain amount of decision-making fuel in our brain. Don't waste it on trivial ones. Whenever you make a bad decision, which is inevitable, quickly and sincerely own it, especially if it affects other people. And please, avoid qualified apologies, such as, mistakes were made, as if to imply they're made by somebody else. Leave that to celebrities and politicians who you saw throwing their weight around. Does New Jersey Governor Chris Christie come to mind? By the way, Democrats are no better. On the other hand, if your colleague makes a mistake, rationalize it in the right context. Put yourself in her shoes. After all, being wrong is not a sign of intellectual inferiority, but simply a confirmation of one's humanity. And finally, I'm personally working towards a day when I will have learned to control my mind, so I can break into a song and tell my brain, I love the way you lied to me.